Well, today's been horrible again. Idiot people, they called them idiot people, are following me around, harassing me, saying stupid stuff. Um, if somebody would actually do something about this, I mean, it's a big case down here. Hate crime on levels you would never imagine. Um, I had took my client yesterday to a hunger task force. I walked in, there was a bald guy there. He was there in the beginning of the case in 18, around me several times. I don't know who he is, okay? He sees me, he walks back in the room, and he's talking to someone. It turns my stomach to see her in a place like this. We knew they did it to her before. That's why we never said anything to her. I walked out in the hallway, and I was pacing. I have lived through the deepest hell in my whole body. I could feel my mouth stuttering and my thoughts even stuttering and my body shaking. You let me live through hell and you didn't pull me out. And you know. Okay? I take my client to look at his new apartment we're looking at. Okay? And we go back to his apartment. I stay an extra hour. I walk out, and there's a maintenance man that works at his apartment building. Now, he has mentioned tapes before and saying shit to people, really dirty shit that didn't happen. And he's talked about talking to the Steve or Eric on the phone. Well, I'd already reported him, okay? Well, it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And he has his face towards the other building. I don't even think he's seen me. He said, wow, those tapes before were them. I seen them. It was them that did it, not her. Wow, what's going on? It's a group of men committing as many crimes as they can. I'm wondering if anybody will ever stop them. That's what's going on. It's a group of men doing as many crimes as they can. So I wonder if anybody will ever stop them. That's what's going on. The police will have that in the local area because the trip is wide open. It's wide open. I mean, you just have to come down here. And one officer listens to me every day. Hear him scream outside. Told you my apartment's bugged, my car's bugged, my head's bugged. I have proof that they sold log and just even sitting in my house. They scream it driving by. Okay. I went home and I went to get something to eat. I ate and I got home, and where I was shaking, my whole stomach went into spasms. I was so upset. I was so upset for hours. And then I got to thinking, in January 19th, some police were around me. They said the police didn't want to arrest her. They were talking to each other because they knew somebody did something wrong before and she was innocent. They were talking to each other. They already said that up in Ravenna. Okay? They knew somebody did something wrong before and I was innocent. Okay? They already came up to me before I moved out that they found Melissa's kids lying. Okay? And here they caught them telling Flora they were lying on Thanksgiving of 18. Police and hire, and they sold the login across the nation for $25 a pop without my permission. And they didn't share the money. And you can hear them talk about it inside Walmart. Okay? Dear God, you can go to Faith Family Church. There's 3,000 of us. A lot of even the ushers have it. Now, I had, up in Ravenna, they were talking around me about selling me out to the highest bidder. Okay? Who would want me? I'm old and ugly. The mind-reading chip is priceless. Muslim women started showing up with the full headdress. Okay? Then people started saying like a mob lord or a king from another country was taking care of me. I'm like, yeah, right. Okay? But these Muslim women are still around me at times. I went out to Dr. Rapika's Youthology Med Spa around the first of the year. There is a group of Muslim women in there. I go in, and they're like, we wanted to see what she looks like now. They want the chip. It's priceless to them. It's mind reading. Okay, a week ago Monday, I had called off work, and I made my copies, and where one of the local officers had stopped by, and I told him the situation about Dave dating that one judge's daughter, Judge Pete, or Michelle. And I said he started dating a Lauren, a heavy-set girl with a big chest, and pretty girl. They're all connected to that courthouse. And the officer's like, they had no right in your home. No right. Don't worry. I said, well, they talk about putting 2 clips together. But he's like, don't worry about it. They had no right in your home, and it's not admissible. We can't look at one thing before the FBI. Not one thing. They had no right, and they would have to excuse themselves. They had no right. And they didn't. And the only thing that they could have done is went to the FBI because of conflict of interest. It comes down to lost dates. Hear me screaming? It has to be police and hire significant investigation to set up tiny cameras in your home without a conflict of interest. No bathrooms, no bedrooms, no nudes. Okay? There's a lot wrong here. A whole hell of a lot wrong here. They let people tape me in the bathroom, on the toilet, in my bedroom, getting dressed naked. It's horrible. I got so upset around March 5th. They were outside talking to the neighbors that they had put 2 clips together and made a porn. Don't worry about her, it's them. And so when they started saying something about wiping toxic water off with clothes on, and then you didn't expose yourself, you're good. You just adjusted yourself. Even told the nurse at Mercy Medical the only thing they had on her was adjusting herself. Okay? Well, then they say you're being weird with yourself. You open up your robe, you expose yourself, you expose yourself being weird. I'm like, that never happened. Okay? Then I got to thinking, well, I'm not weird with myself. Not at all. And I thought, well, when do you touch yourself? Shower. They took a shower scene and photoshopped it, the 2 clips together. And it's like, that's what they did. I walked outside. Some guy yells out that she figured out how they did it. That's why their tapes aren't admissible. They are not police and hire. Significant investigation. And it has to be like murder or drugs. And they still have to interview you at least once. See what your part is. Before they go in your home and put up tiny cameras. They have to come interview and see if it's worth it. Nobody came talk to me. Nobody did. Not a damn person. Okay? The law also states that an attorney can only tape you out in public. And if they tape you with tiny cameras in your home, it's not only not admissible, but then they'll have to compensate you. And they get in trouble. It's stalking. It's admissible. It's not admissible. Okay? And that, even the officer said, that that judge couldn't do it, that courthouse couldn't do it, and they had no right. And don't worry about what's on those, because it's not admissible anyways. Well, I was having black and blue marks on my legs. I thought it was from moving wood, and apparently it wasn't. It came out about 8:15 at night at this year, 21. Did you know he found older and told her to say it? I'm sitting in my car. Whatever officer was listening, they'll hear it. 8, 9. First thing in the morning, the apartment building informed me second close the fence. The chip in the car caught him. So funny, she figured it out. She finally figured out it was Dave that drugged her and told her to say it first. Well, a guy with a badge showed up a few days later. It wasn't so funny. They told him, yes, they did drug her. And then the lady at 1295 Allen Middle apartment yelled at him right before May 25th that the church people weren't funny, breaking in before drugging her, telling her say she's a weirdo monster. That's not funny. And then Wendy Screw, May 25th, said it too. Okay? Said it from my old client, Jeff. And they said it in front of a bunch of people in town, and they were calling them bastards. Well, they told Jim and Brian, my neighbors, that he had heard it. Okay? So I taped them with their permission. I have witnesses across the board. Okay? I have people witnessing that October 5th, Huntington Bank, a lady comes in and said, I don't want Melissa getting no money out of this. She said, that's okay. They knew they made everything up. They just didn't want anybody to help her. Okay, about 153 Cleveland Avenue. Tape and audio. Mentors, they are in there saying, I found, somebody came in and said, I found out they made everything up. I don't want these boys saying anything else to her. Okay. But those tapes that are altered, I guess they're really bad. 2 days ago, I literally had my client out, my new one. They were pulling in sheets and they were saying stuff about a tape before. Okay. And then I seen it. Okay. And they literally start driving around me yelling, fuck you, bitch. And my client went to roll down the window, yell stuff back. I told him to stay out of it. It's getting bad. It's getting horrifying, actually. In 19 Pizza Hut, I worked in Canal Fault, and some guy came out. He said, I overheard them. They're talking about getting a group of men to beat her to death. That's this. Okay? This is their permanent plan to do away with me. See, they tried to have me murdered, and I didn't die. And so if I didn't die, they had the taping unaware, altering tapes, and where I woke up with only black and blue marks, they were having Dave drug me and the church people. And they literally, during the first month of the investigation, people were breaking in, stabbing me with needles, breaking inside Walmart that they were drugging me. And they were lying to people. They had sodium pentothal reports. They don't use it. It's spy-flick movie stuff that you say yes to, falsely confess to everything. It's lethal and outlawed. They don't drug anybody. You have the fifth. And then it's drugs and kidnapping. And these idiot people think they can get money out of this. Melissa's kids were caught lying by police and hire, stating to Flora on Thanksgiving they were making everything up. Okay? All the police know in the United States, this is how stupid all this is. These are the people that tape me unaware, alter the tapes, drug me, and now they want money. Is that rich or what? Okay. So when I took my client yesterday to the Hunger Task Force, I told you that one bald guy was there. He said, it makes me sick. Seeing her in a place like this, we always knew that they did it to her before. That's why we never said anything to her. And I told you I was stuttering inside myself. They left me in hell and didn't help me. You couldn't do this to someone on death row. You can't abuse a corpse. You go to jail for abusing a dead body. You go to jail for all this. Well, I walked out yesterday at 4 o'clock. The maintenance man was on the phone, had turned. It was them that did it on those tapes before. Wow, I seen them. It was them, not her. What's going on? It's a group of men doing as many crimes as they can and see if someone will actually stop them. I was in Mentos last week. Some lady came in the phone. Too many people are coming at her with acting crazy and saying stuff to her. It was too much for the FBI, so they left. Mocking by the register. Now, if no one came talk to me, no Steve, Eric, Kurt, Chris, or Mark, no Henry, no Christine, and I told you about that weird guy. They said something about a Terrence, and some by the shoe aisle in Walmart, some African-American man jumps out. You know my name, you know my name. If you don't quit praying about everything, I'll make you quit praying about everything. I'll make you stand somewhere for 8 hours so you can't pray. Well, I didn't talk to him. He's weird. He just standing behind me. I'm telling you. I never talked to no lady, no man, no officer, no agent. There was a real investigation. They would have came and got my side. There's not. In June of 19, I worked at Liberty Health Share. The North Canton or Jackson police are working security out front. Okay? There's a guy in the back. He's on the phone. You made up an investigation to watch her before. Really? You did what to her before? Wow. And he said, that's funny. She actually likes him? And then he starts giggling. And I walk out. See, there's real investigations. When people mention the agency, they'll say Karen's will. Okay? And then if two Stark County sheriffs were talking at a Faith Family Church, one of them said, are you interested in working Karen around the house? They said, what's that? One of us have to listen to her or watch her every day. So if they mention Karen around the house, it's usually the police. The Bar Association helped out, the district attorney's office, the Freemasons, and the State Department, parts of the State Department helped out. Okay? They mention it. It's a state case. Well, up in Ravenna, someone started saying Karen's Craig, and then they started insulting me. Well, first it was Karen's Craig, and I thought, well, my brother-in-law died. He was a private consultant for the FBI, unrestricted, did war weapons. They said he was CIA and worked for both. And I thought they were doing it after him. That's their made-up case. Because those people, that's a woman too stupid for another man. That's a woman too ugly for another man. They called me idiot, moron, you name it. It's them. Now, it comes down to lost dates. Lost dates. Significant investigation. Police and hire. No bathrooms, no bedrooms, no nudes. With no conflict of interest. And they don't, yeah. And the one guy looked at me and said, trust me, we never share. The FBI would. The idiot that went to Paymer the night before I called Will back, and I forgot to tell Will because I was so upset over everything. It's that overwhelmed thing of all these people have just threatened my life. And they said he's behind a lot of this. He has black hair, dark eyes, black glasses, 5'9", white, 165, late 30s, early 40s. Spitting image of Judge Timothy could be his kid. My God, I had an FBI agent in my office. I walk off and Dave and I get in a screaming match. I told you the story. I had went for that interview, and the district manager sent me to another store. And when I got home, she asked me, David called me, why won't you go in the house? I'm at the end of the driveway. It's raining real hard. There's no one around. We didn't have cameras to the end of the driveway. And I'm like, you home? No. Why won't you go in the house? And I'm like, Dave, that's not funny. Why would you think I'm at the end of the driveway? I have nothing to trace me with my phone. And he's like, I'm at work, and why won't you go in the house? Well, I had been talking to my mom. And I had clicked over to him. Well, then that district manager calls me. What's your problem? I said, what do you mean, what's my problem? You were rude to Pam. I said, who's Pam? You sent me to the other store. And she tells me off real bad. I hang up on her. I call my mom, and she's like, Karen is up to something. I said, I know. So I got up early in the morning, and I got dressed real nice. I went up there, and she's sitting there with an assistant manager, Dan. And she's like, Karen. He's like, I've never met this woman before in my life. And I said, you sent me to the store, and by the way, I'm Karen. She's like, but what you said? I said, I know what I said, but it wasn't her. I've never seen her before in my life. And I said, I told you sent me to the other store. She takes me outside. She apologizes. And she offers me my job back, even offers to let me step down if I'll still work for the company. I told her it was too weird and I'd have to think about it. Okay? So, let's see. Oh, right after that, it just all fell apart really, really fast. There was Katie, Sarah, the one girl, worked at the jewelry store. Some kid had made a mistake and put a payment in as a sale, and to fix it, they had to get someone in the office to do it. And it took her a long time to get it, and she had to keep notes of finding someone to move that money. Okay? And so I go in and I talk to her. And she's telling me how she's getting married and everything. Well, she said that Katie's leaving Threads in the mall. They got a permanent plan to do away with you. It's dark here. And I'm like, okay. And teach me a lesson I'd never forget. That's this. The fucking shit my family should be ashamed of. Mean jokes. So, I had called my one ex-friend, and she had asked me down for prayer, and even told me she'd step in for me. She's like, Karen, I watched this one lady's kid that pays me $10 an hour. She said, I got you on the counter, I'm cleaning up, I could hear her banging around things, and I could hear her knocking. She's like, Karen, she's here. And she's like, I'll let you go. And I said, okay. I almost hung up. I could hear her walk over to the door, and I thought, I wonder if that's baby mama. Because what do you do with $5,000 to $6,000 disappears from a safe? Pay off the pregnancy, right? So, she was on the phone. Guess who was on the? I was listening through the phone. I could hear them. They weren't 5-6 feet away. Guess who I was on the phone with? You're kidding. I almost tricked her into coming down to prayer, where those two guys would show up and take care of her. Not like anybody in the church would help her. They pay people to know where she's at. I could use the money. I actually told her to step in for prayer for her, as if I couldn't believe it came out of my own mouth. Well, that's about as bad as Kaylee. She used another minister because she said Keith charged too much money. Well, who was in the meeting hiring those two men to kill her? It was Keith, Bishop, Strange, and Ron. And they took up $25,000 to hire those two men to kill her because Ron wants her dead because she got wealthy or his kid died. Nothing to do with this kid's death. His father-in-law ran a stop sign. Somebody hit him 30 miles away, my whole family. And he lost it at the funeral, and then even blasphemed God from a pulpit of how much he hated him for taking the thing he loved the most. It was bad. It's not right. And I was really sick. And I will get well months later, and nothing to do with nothing. Talk about misdirected anger. Okay. So I'm gasping. And I call up Dave and I tell him off. Okay? Well, within a couple of days, Dave grabs me in the middle of the night. I love you, but I love her more, Karen. I'm so sorry, Karen. You have to die for her. I hired a man to slit your throat, stab you in the heart. You'll bleed out, Karen. But if you run for it, I got a man to put a bullet in you. For 30 minutes, he held me down. It was even turning him on. I was afraid if I moved, he'd kill me. He was pushing me into the bed. Okay? I went baby girl fetal. I called up John. What's going on? I don't know, Mom. I would have punched him in the face. I said I was afraid to kill me with his own bare hand. What is going on? I don't know, Mom. My family knew they were threatening. Okay? Dave had came up to me. My girlfriend's rich and powerful. Our family owns the police. She will not be able to withstand Karen. I'm like, it's not a communist country. No one owns the police. And I'm thinking, God, he's got connections. That girl just cost me that job. Okay? Well, I went fetal. I'm not lying. I went baby girl fetal. Took me a couple days. I went up to Giant Eagle. He calls me, where are you at? Told you I didn't have anything traced me in my phone. And I'm like, I'm buying something for dinner. I got a phone call to me. Please don't go. Well, I get my groceries where I haven't been eating and crying real hard. Well, I went and got a flu shot inside Giant Eagle, and I sat down on the bench because I got dizzy for a second. I hear a voice. I can't believe she's here. I go to walk off. I'm like, oh my God. Okay. He comes up right close to Huntington Bank. I'd stab you right here and now if it wasn't for that security guard. And I could see him, but I couldn't scream. I made a beeline for Huntington Bank. I like to open a account. A blonde lady comes up. I get paid to watch her. Banker's like, stay out of it. She's bending her face down so the cameras can't see her. And she's looking right at me. I get paid to watch her. And he's like, lady, I mean it won't be worth it in the end. That black haired guy walks off around me. And she walks off too. And I wait a long time to walk out. And I make sure I walk out with people. Okay? I went home and went baby girl. I'm not joking. Thinking of the attempted break-in, they knew what the security system was. He wasn't misspeaking, he did it. The following ending being Harold Strange's great niece's Facebook friend. The attempted kidnapping working for that same girl that just said, she could have used some money. It's the same black hair guy. And I went baby girl. And where the attempted carjacking and the car pulled up before he could do anything. Same black hair. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. And it was just like everything hit me at once. I've been married 33 years. And I loved him with all my heart. And I think all of those were him. Okay. I finally get enough courage to go down to Walmart. There's an African American woman spits in my face at the gas station. Her and her white boyfriend are harassing me. I go in and the animal comes up. What a shame. And he just stares at me like a dead animal. It doesn't move. I went home and went, baby girl. I made sure I left with a group of people. Okay? Because I barely got away from him that one night. He hit the back of my car. And I ran from him. Got my car and pulled off. Okay? I had called the hotline. It took 2 days for Will to call me back. I'm baby girl. Complete baby girl. 2 more days, I was still baby girl. In a ball, crying like a baby girl. Everything's over. Crying. I mean, I don't even know where the tears came from after so long. I just lay there and cried. 3rd day, I thought I got to get myself together. I got up, mow the lawn, trying to clear my thoughts. I call Sarah and I'm like, will you witness for me if I call someone? Yes, Karen, it's even getting darker. So she's getting married. I buy her a card and I put a gift card in it. And I put Will's number. We stop by the mall and I give it to him. She's already left and they put it in her locker. We go on to Apostolic Church of Barberton. Paul Paymer gets in Dave's face. My God, I had an FBI agent in my office. He's right there and he's screaming. He's a spitting image of Jones Timothy. He could be his kid. Black hair, dark eyes, black glasses, 5'9", 165, late 30s, early 40s. Okay? They said he's behind a lot of this. So the next day, I get up, I'm crying my eyes out, okay? And I finally get enough courage to call Will back, and I'm doing the kind of thing. Dave and I actually got in a big fight that night on the way home, okay? And so the next morning when I call Will, I'm just kind of thing. Everything's swirling in my head. It's an overwhelm of too much horror in your face. I think I forgot the giant eagle thing. Oh, there was even a brown hair beard guy, 6 foot, 250 pounds. You can run, you can hide, and I can still find you. You can change your name, and I can still find you. You can go back to Catherine, I can still find you. I thought, I've never been Catherine. I've always been Karen, my father name. Who the hell are you? Okay? So, even a woman came up to me in like Dollar General in Edinburgh because I lived 11 miles out in town. Okay? Your husband was caught with another woman, and what they were saying was unsettling. She looked scared to death and walked off. She must have heard him. She's probably afraid to be seen saying something to me. Well, when I talked to Will, I know I did the what a shame thing and told him about it. And I told him about Sarah. And he's talking, and I'm talking, and I think I left a lot of the other shit out. And I know I forgot to tell him about the ass telling on me, and they checked. People around me said that ass actually told on her. He did. I never had to stay quiet. Found out later they were legally taping me unaware. They knew. And with that ass telling Paymer and then Dave, there's no reason to stay quiet while they investigate. So they had already even told the churches. Everything was upside down before it started. Okay? You don't go tell people threatening their lives that they're there. Okay? He wouldn't ask me to stay quiet because there was no reason to. Well, the next morning, I get up, and since my family knows they're all threatening me, I'm calling Dixie up, and I'm like, Dixie, you got to stay out of it, but Karen, they're threatening you. I hear a voice, kill it. And all of a sudden, it sounded like my security system went off. You know, like you turn it off, beep, beep. And I got my bedroom door locked, and I'm talking to her, and I'm crying. She's crying. I'm like, I need you to stay out of it. I mean it. I hear footsteps, and I'm like, what is that? Men that, and I'm talking to her. She's crying. I'm crying. Okay? And I'm like, I need you to stay out of it. I got this. But I know they're threatening me. And da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I hear a guy's voice. Men, everybody out of here. That's not what's going on. They had someone break in my house the first morning. The FBI don't break in your house. They knock on the door. They knock on the door. The police do too. They don't break in your back door and turn off your security system. That's crazy shit. Okay? So, I had got dressed. I went down to Walmart. Some cars surround me. A lot of guys looking similar. Not exactly the same, get out of vehicles. Some guys completely opposite. See him making a beeline for me. I go get in line, and I know Nick for years. And I said, Nick, I want to do a withdrawal. All of a sudden, I can hear him mumble, third and fourth rib. And I'm like, Nick, give me my money. He's right behind me. Right behind me. And he's reading notes. I'm like, now he's still mumbling it, like he's trying to talk himself into it. And I'm like, Nick, if my husband and his friends are goofing on me, give me my money. And a bunch of guys surround him, and he takes off. And when he takes off, you look over, and there is something in his hand. They thought he had a knife in his hand, like he was trying to talk himself into doing it. Okay, I faced 6 stalkers inside Walmart. They chased him off and arrested him inside Walmart 62. If they go between, it should be for the December of 18. I'll go to do a night drop. I'll hear a voice behind me. Okay. I'm part of the 25,000. Strange hired me. I want to see her. And I freeze and he comes up around me. He's white, he has hazel blue eyes and a toothy grin. And I just freeze and my guys are way off in the distance. Okay? I was down at John's church. This heavy-set girl with, I think it was black hair and tinted red at the time. She had walked up, she looked at me and looked at her phone. She looked at me and looked at the phone. And she scowled at me. I don't even know her. She walks off and I close my eyes. I'm like, my God, they pay people to know where I'm at. She's going to call someone. I was in Grinders in Minerva. That idiot that was behind me in Walmart was there. Talking with a man of Dave telling him how they tore up my shoulder at that time. And if we grab her, you got to grab her that and how they're going to cut my face up and everything else. And they thought it was funny that the waitress had sat me close to him so they could see me. I left with a group of people. Okay? We're coming up on the 3rd anniversary of the gunshot night. Outside the house did pick him up, police and hired that they killed people. I have been raped and tortured when I try to get the Asian lady help when she said her husband died. So they talked about, they did say they killed 2 men outside. And the house caught him. And they did talk about a Cameron dying in Walmart. Okay? And other places. And they did talk in Ravenna about somebody being crippled, and a crippled man showed up down here and said it happened to him. I don't know. I can tell you what men said to me. I can tell you what I heard outside. And Dave even bragged to Dixie that they had gunfire. They went to the wrong house and I was target practice. I do need someone to come down here and fix this. They are committed drugs, kidnapping. They have stolen, there's a colonel involved from the army base up there. They keep mentioning him in public places. 12/21/18, stabbed in the neck of the refrigerator. Okay. Abducted with a neural chip. My head is dented in, the size of an egg. Okay. Took 2 years for my hair to grow back. Woke up with migraines. He just surgically glue it back down. I did research. Okay. It comes up police scanners on a government chip on police scanners. They show up a few days later back by the TVs. We implanted a neural chip. Guys with cell phones, we all can read your thought. They had it in 2005. They tried it in Guanaco Bay, and the U.S. Supreme Court outlawed it. Put the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th on it, and put those people in jail for 20 years. And those were bad, and let those people go and compensate them. You can't hurt a U.S. citizen. You have the right to remain silent, legal representation. If you can't afford one will be appointed to you. You can't do this. And when I tried to help that Asian lady, they beat, raped, and tortured me. And they sold the login before Christmas of 18. They're talking about it in Walmart. And then everywhere I go, hey, Karen this, hey, Karen that. It's horrifying. And to find out that they were illegally taping it in my home, altering tapes, putting the two clips together, drugging me and telling me to say stupid stuff. That's why I had bruises before the FBI. Within the first month, they're still breaking in, and I'd have my door locked, and I'd still have marks on me. And they would come up in Walmart and brag they were drugging me and having fake sodium pentothal reports. It was even in the optical place center in Walmart. Before I move out, I'm either in the Maslin or Canton. Older guy, about 50s, black hair, sits next to me in a baseball hat. It's me and my men that question you at night. That's why you have bruises. You can't question people under drugs. It's illegal to. It's drugs and kidnapping. No coerced confession is admissible. It's a law. It's a law. It's a law. I looked at him like it's crazy and walked off. He meant it inside Walmart. And so did a bunch of other people. It's a law. It's drugs and kidnapping. Okay? It's a law. They are committing heinous crimes here. Blatantly blaring them. I'll tell you what, you could go to Faith Family Church. A lot of the ushers even have to log in. There's 3,000 of us. And a lot of them have it. I had went to Dr. Rapika's. I told you about the one lady yelling at those officers or agents that had harassed me. Okay? And someone checked me because she said stuff that I said in my house. Were they here? And he's like, yes. And that's clear out and Warren, they had it. Okay, people showed up across the nation. You can go to Belden Village, March of 19. The mall will be packed and there'll be people talking all around about me, including that lady from Domestic Violence and Warren and the one guy that said, I could write a bestseller on what happened. I'd call it Karen's Prayers, Paid Off Dirty Agents, a man trying to kill his wife, and men being shot at running, be a bestseller. We're on the other side of the kiosk, not too far from that jewelry store Katie works in. They're in there talking about it. She's like, I'd like her to speak when this is over. And she watched me for a long time. Okay? They sold it across the nation. And I had a 2-mile long brigade at one point when I'd leave here. And this last January, December, January, I went up to Dr. Rapika's, okay? There was a bunch of Muslim women up there. We want to see what she looks like now. Within 2 weeks of them neurochipping me, they were saying around me that they were selling me to the highest bidder online. I'm old and ugly. I'm in my 50s. Nobody wants me. But the chip is priceless. It's mind reading. Then women showed up with a complete Muslim covering, just their eyes showing. And then more Muslim women. And they have followed me clear out to Warren. They've been in Canton. They have been across from my old client's girlfriend Loretta's on 13th Street. They have drove by real quick. They pulled in McDonald's. They're still around me. I think they want the chip. It's priceless to them. The technology. It's not funny. None of this is. The hospital they told Dr. Ellen Atinas on 313. Some damn bastard neurochipped me, said they already knew. Mercy Medical, you can see they cut the wires in the crack. It does come up on police scanners, government chip. And the hospital said if they remove the chip and the swelling, your brain will go back to normal. I have a dent in the back of my skull about the size of an egg. It needs removed, and where they kept breaking in and drugging me, I may have a septal infarct in my heart. It's documented I didn't have before. I taped my ex-husband when I found out those kids were in a line just to cover all bases. Okay? That everybody was fine. He's like, Karen, you're good to everyone. You're good to the kids. You're good to the grandkids, no matter who it is. And another part, it'd be pretty rotten if she ever said anything bad about you. Calls her childish and everything else. Defends me. To find out that ass struck me and told me to say something stupid. The man that said I die at his choosing. Idiot. My God. And he's still not in jail. He beat me with internal injuries, sexually assaulted me. Part of the drug and framing. Even admits he had people threaten me and worse. I got that on my tape. It's part of the police and hire tapes of the investigation. They showed up at Walmart. Did he go to jail? No. They won't arrest him because that Judge Pete and those other girls' dads protect him. And that courthouse is an extortion ring. It's a group of men committing as many crimes as they can to find out if someone will actually stop them. That's what's going on. It's an extortion group right out of that courthouse, prostituting their little kids. Because why would a beautiful young 20-year-old kid with a super rich dad want a 60-year-old man with just a split level? She wouldn't. He's not even in her league. Nobody's thinking about this. Yeah, why wouldn't she care that he dated Lauren, the big boob girl, and the pretty brown hair girl? It's like a prostitution extortion ring. I was talking to that local officer. He's like, don't worry about what's on those tapes. It's not admissible and we can't look at it. They had no right in your home. They didn't. It has to be a significant investigation. Police and hire. No bathrooms, no bedrooms, no nudes. Okay? And no conflict of interest. And that his wife, Judge Pete's wife, shows up Memorial Day weekend 2019 for It's My Daughter. Her husband Datesy met her in Ravenna when she was having a stomach spell. It's for my daughter they did all this for, and our family down here watching her doing this. And for who's Karen's rich boyfriend is the state of Ohio protects her. Michelle's mother, Judge Pete's wife. And the other parents, they came up to me, we're going to steal everything you have in life. It's an extortion group. Extortion group up there. It's like the Village. You go in and you don't come out. And you know what's really bad? I was 11 miles out of town. Not one or two. I was 11 miles out of town. I don't even think people break it down. It's between Louisville and Alliance. You wouldn't even know I was there. Live in big woods in the middle of countryside. Have one traffic ticket from 89, little notary. Squeaky clean. What would you investigate? No one came talk to me, ever. Ever. In a real investigation, they have to at least ask your part once. Some heavy-set guy showed up at Walmart. I asked him what he knew, and I told him he better keep his hands off her until I find out what's going on. They have to ask your part. They can't just set up tiny cameras and put them in your home. They have to make sure there's a significant investigation. And they didn't. Like the guy said at June of 19, Liberty Owlshare. You made up an investigation to watch her before. Can't. And like the officer said, because of conflict of interest, they could never say anything to you. They would have had to went to the FBI. I did, because Dave said his girlfriend family owned the police. See what I mean? They can't do any of this, and they can never legally touch me. And they can't look at their fucked up tapes from before that they altered and drugged. And then they blatantly drugged me in front of the FBI. They have done a purge movie at my expense and others. It's not funny. It is a group of men doing as many crimes as they can to see if anybody will actually stop them. They said a colonel's involved. Well, where would you get a legal war weapon? There's an army base right there, out in the middle of nowhere. Someone probably even needs to do a body scan. Right after that, right underneath my ribs, well, David hit me a couple times, but it turned purple. I mean purple, purple underneath my ribs. I already have a dent in my skull. Need to make sure they didn't implant anything else. One of his goons showed up that followed me before a couple nights ago at the marathon station, yelled something at me. It's not funny, he had a group of men harassing me down here too. And they're back. They have something planned before Christmas. I'm trying to get somebody down here. These arrogant SOBs run around. We're going to get money from her. We'll get money from her. No, you won't. You have no legal right. And like they said in FedEx a week ago Monday, some guy walked in and said, talk to her family. Family didn't think anything of her wiping off water with clothes on. They couldn't figure out why she's not around. Exactly. Jen did the same thing in a towel. Dear God, she had her legs spread apart like a guy and reached down and fixed her underwear real quick. Most people, you adjust yourself, they would have to arrest the whole nation. You're in your own damn home, you wipe off some running water with clothes on. There's so many versions of it, it's not funny. It's simple and basic. Like they told Mercy Medical, they just had on adjusting yourself, right age, you didn't expose yourself, you're good. Then they have where you just expose yourself, then they have the weird with yourself. There's so many alter tapes, it's not funny. It matters who they show it to. I don't want to ever see it. The thought of it makes my stomach bleed. I have swelling from the beatings from him. Yes, I did report it. Yes, I do have emergency reports. And yes, I do have a scope to prove it too. And is he in jail? No. Did I report it? Yes. Will they arrest him for anything? No. He's committed heinous crimes and they let him go. And so are these people. And you know what? If you don't believe me, come down here. Come down here. Like the one guy said, I talked to all our witnesses. None of this is funny. The prosecutor's like, Karen, your story was a little out there. But I'll tell you what, I talked to all your witnesses and I found out it all happened to you. Or how he said, I found out through your witnesses. He said, and I'll tell you what, your notes are as good as investigators for the courthouse. They give them to the police and the police go out and get it. He said, they're that good. You got times, places, phone numbers, and addresses. And everybody has tape and audio. Someone needs to come down and help, please.